The Acolyte.
The Acolyte. My brother in Christ. Obviously, we knew we were getting the 2 penultimate episodes this week.
Yes.
But as a general rule, when you're getting multiple penultimate episodes in a week, I always expect one of them to, like, not be as impressive. We really feasted this week, starting with The Acolyte. The Acolyte set the bar high. We got the second half of the story of Brendock like we've been waiting for all season.
Yeah, so we said back, like, I remember I said when that first one came out, and I was like, we've only seen this from Osha's POV. Like, there's some mystery going on here. Like, we haven't got the full story. And we've known it's coming. Like, we've presumed, okay, Soul started leading on to be like, oh, I need to tell you what's happened. You were obviously setting up for the actual truth. I'd like to say that we were both right in some capacity. I was claiming that it was all the Jedi messed up. You reckon there was like some culty death thing happened. I feel like I was sort of right about May didn't mean to start the fire. I thought someone else actually started the fire because we didn't see May do it. But it's more May didn't mean to. It was all an accident.
It seemed very much like May started the fire in a fit of rage as a child, and then it got out of control before she could do anything.
Well, for me, it was more, she was like, oh, this book is what Osha's been scribbling. And she opened it and had a Jedi symbol. She was like, oh, I'm going to burn this. And then realized, as a kid, didn't realize, oh, this wad of paper is going to burn very quickly. And I don't know how to put it out because I'm a kid. And then panics and just throws it all on the floor.
Yeah. Which we also learned a little bit more about the ascension process and about the twins' nature in general, which I feel like has been kind of skirted around very slightly. Like, they put the information there, but they didn't want to make a big deal of it this week, did they? They kept it kind of very, like, nonchalantly dribbled in.
Yeah, like, they also dropped, like, we saw more point of views on things of, like, when they did the test in the ship, we got to see May's test. And it's like, they questioned that. I liked that they showed us that, and we got to see, I've forgotten the female Jedi. Indara, questioning about, what she's tried to find more information about their culture. And like, May then opens up and says, well, Mother says we were to lead them. And she's like, you're a kid, how are you meant to lead them? And she's like, I don't know. I'm just doing this ritual that we're told that we're meant to do, and then we can lead them.
Yeah. I'm not the boss yet.
But it's funny because it's like, you saw multiple point of views of people that like judged things for being wrong, but then Jedi that like Indara, I think, was like, well, many cultures have markings and different things. Like, it doesn't
it's not uncommon at all.
Like, the fact as well that they were actually there on a peaceful mission, and it was Sol stumbling upon. I think the big segue is Sol is not this righteous Jedi Master that we all kind of thought he was. He was fully taken for a ride by his feelings.
Do you know what I think the beauty of that is as well? Throughout the show, if you look at the Jedi who were involved, Indara took herself to a planet in the middle of nowhere. Kelnaka took himself into the deep forest.
And was scribbling things on the wall.
Yeah. Torbin has meditated for 20 years without moving a muscle. He's the only one still, like, very actively in the Jedi community. So we, as viewers, based on the information we're being drip-fed, we're like, oh, them 3 fucked up, they feel guilty, Sol did the right thing by saving the child, and that, and you know, it's almost it's a way of, not to get too political, because, you know, Star Wars has never been political, but it's almost like a religious order. Maybe the people who are front and center claiming they'd never do anything wrong are the people who they need to keep a closer eye on. Because, you know, we've never had a story like that of someone who has access to children in a big religious organization maybe misbehaving and needing to be checked.
Well, it's like, I kind of gathered that there was, well, I made the guess that maybe Kelnaka or Tobin got mind controlled again, and then that was it. And it's like, the fact that they had Kelnaka had exiled himself to a forest and was scribbling on the wall, clearly, like, that proper messed his mind up. Like, he was clearly having visions of that stuff.
Yeah, I read something about that, which is interesting. So
Okay.
in lore, um, Wookiees are very protective of their claws. They view
Right.
them as tools,
Hmm.
and anyone who uses them in an offensive way is called a mad claw, and they're seen as
Ah.
like they're seen as unworthy. They normally get exiled because they're seen as someone who can't control themselves.
Yeah.
So, despite the fact he had his mind taken over, culturally to him,
He's lost.
he's
Yeah.
exiled himself because he's like, I'm a bad person. I'm
Yeah.
supposed to use these for like making tools and
I get
being
you.
productive in society, not to attack people. And I've marked my friend for life with my claws.
Hmm.
That's why he exiled himself.
Yeah, and like obviously, like the scribblings was obviously it was probably like nightmares or whatever that
Mm-hmm.
stuck in his mind. Tobin meditated. I think actually this shows more because he he was the reason it all sort of went wrong because he
Mm-hmm.
was so desperate to get home, he sped off. I think that was the case of like he couldn't trust his own emotions anymore, so he's like, well, I'm just gonna
Not
exile
feel.
myself to
Yeah.
meditation. Um, Indara was just she covered it up of sorts. More just didn't give all the details.
I think the reason Indara took herself away was because she was aware that she fucked up because she didn't have control over a mission that she was in charge of. And I do
Yeah.
see her logic by covering it up, as you say. She was like, they're all dead, which they thought they were, which was a rational thought.
Mm,
Um, all that we can do by being honest here is bring more harm to the one surviving child.
yeah.
We may as well try and create a good outcome out of this. That's not the right thing to do, but you can see how she falls into that trap.
Well, yeah. It's obviously that thing of like, there's no point if we want to give Osha a chance of being a Padawan. If we give the truth, they're not going to be okay with it, and that just causes it. So let's like this is the situation we're in. We have to accept and kind of make the best of it. Sol obviously, whether it was like he genuinely felt a connection through the Force to Osha, or if it was just his emotions got the better of him for a Jedi and felt this strange attachment that they're not meant to listen to, but plenty of Jedi have listened to their attachment things, even
Our
Obi-Wan
favourite
did.
Jedi's, yeah, our
Yeah.
favourite Jedi's listen to their feelings.
So it's not necessarily it was a bad thing. I think he just acted too rashly, hence why he ends up
I think that's the
killing Mother.
perfect way to describe it.
Like he panics in the situation when Mother starts doing the weird. So this thing, okay, so these witches are very much I think, a mix of Force users and witches of Dathomir because they start
Yes.
doing weird magicy stuff, but obviously they still have a connection to Force
Yeah.
in how we understand it. But yeah, when
Yeah.
she starts doing the weird like smoke form,
Yeah.
Sol just panics and he's like, "Oh shit, He thinks they're about to do something to the kid because he's got this in his head that they're going to sacrifice them." Um,
It's
so
almost. Do you know what it almost is? It's almost like going. If you're in a place that isn't your place,
mm,
maybe don't assume the natives are savages. Maybe
mm,
like try and understand their culture a little bit and don't jump to conclusions.
yeah, and maybe don't take the word of like how a kid words something because they're probably not wording it correctly.
Yeah.
um,
The other
I
crazy thing was oh, what was I gonna say? The line that Mother gives before she goes to teleport, or as she's dying, I can't remember which is. It's like you Jedi and you're meddling, you're gonna cause the end of the universe. And like the
oh
way it's phrased is so very much you just sit there and you're like, oh, she's like literally telling you that if you don't fix up and look sharp,
yeah,
Order
the line
66 is gonna happen.
it's the line of something like your need to overstep or something is going to be the downfall of yourselves, something
Yeah,
along, yeah, and it's like,
the
oh
downfall of the
shit,
Jedi in the universe.
you are calling them out on, and it is right, we've been saying it throughout the show, this is showing the Jedi's like blindness to just everything and thinking they're in this like righteous place, and actually
Exactly.
that's what causes their downfall. I think it was
Hmm.
so sad though that like the mother says, I choose being Mother, and she's gonna let Osha go be a Jedi, and then ends up dying for it because she was
Yeah.
actually about to go protect her daughter.
She was going to protect the daughter who wanted to stay. She was going to let the daughter who wanted to be a Jedi go be a Jedi.
Yeah. And Sol misread it. Realizes, I think, in the moment that he's acted too rashly.
Uh-huh.
And then...
You know, like the number one thing Jedi aren't supposed to do.
And then next thing you know, oh, look, there's a Wookiee that has had his mind taken over. What a fight. You were upset that we didn't... You were like, oh, they've got a Jedi Wookiee. We don't get to see him. I feel like they've made up for it.
Do you know what this also does in retrospect?
Go on.
Makes Kimir even more scarier.
Yes and no, because if Kalnaka wasn't
terrifying,
he's like with Sino-Chen, if he's snuck up on him, or if we also don't know if it's sort of like Torbin.
Do you want to play a game of? Do you want to play a game of trying to sneak up on a Wookiee Jedi?
Yeah, but this is a Sith.
I don't give a fuck.
But actually, more so, it could have just been Kalnaka accepted. If he's exiled himself, bit like Torbin took the poison himself, like Kalnaka's going to be like, yeah, I'm not worthy of being like, probably was maybe willing to be killed.
Yeah.
But I feel like we got an amazing, the choreography again, but I loved how they showed like Sol's acrobaticness. However, the
he
moves.
was ready to take Kalnaka's fucking head off and instead just punched him, and it was he was nice with it when he was in his prime.
And like the flips and stuff. Like we got some proper lightsaber Jedi fight moves that feel like, oh shit, yeah, like these are people that can leap
when a Jedi gets to
and
train with other Jedis for years. Yeah,
like we got some good stuff. Also, like the temple was kind of what we predicted of being some sort of force sensitive place. It was a Virgin's location.
Yes. Which makes a lot of sense as to how they were able to build up the power that you would need to be able to use the Force to... I mean, we thought create twins, but it seems to be, based on what we now know, that actually they simply split a child into two using the Force.
Yeah. Well, that's sort of how identical twins happen. It's just a cell that then splits. So, but I looked up more about, because I was like, I feel like the Virgins, I wasn't sure if it was a new way of wording it, or if it is a thing. It is a thing. Found out, which I didn't know. The Jedi Temple in Coruscant is built around a Virgins.
That makes sense.
The peak of the mountain of Coruscant, which is what the Jedi Temple is built around. Apparently that is a strong light side Virgins, which people then say is probably why Darth Sidious could hide, because it was too strong, like it overpowered any dark feeling.
Yeah.
The same reason that Yoda could hide on
Dathomir, not Dathomir, Dagobah,
because there was the cave.
Dark side Virgins,
the dark
which
side.
was obviously what caused Luke to see the weird Vader thing. That's a scene that should never have happened, but it did happen.
And I would imagine the place we saw Grogu meditate was some sort of a Virgin's location. So like these are common things. I like that they've used it. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, because this is, I would imagine the next episode will be like, this has come from Sol telling May, because that's how the last episode ended. So I imagine this was like us visually getting to see him tell the story. I don't think... Well, May knows that he killed...
Yes.
Mother. I think there'll be some... I don't think she'll be any less pissed. Like, she's still going to feel the same she has. Maybe the way he's explained it, that like, we weren't there. It was all for the right reasons. We just fucked up along the way. Maybe she'll understand that a bit. I think Osha will be pissed if she finds out that her that her master killed her mother and let her sister fall to her death just to save her, because she wanted to be a Jedi. And I think with Chimera currently seducing and manipulating her to the dark side, she's already not in a good mental space. And it wouldn't actually surprise me if Osha turns on Sol, and that pushes her to like be the
I think we're going to see the twins do a complete 180. Because
possibly.
I saw someone talking about it as well. It was like, if they're the same soul, like
Mm,
essentially split into two people, does that mean they can never truly experience balance? So with Osha being a Jedi and training as a Jedi on the light side the whole time, that made May easier to be manipulated by the dark, and then by them
mm,
swapping places, they
mm.
both have to
That's a good
because the
point.
soul has to stay in balance. So one of them is light and one of them is dark.
Yeah, they either need to both be like grey Jedi, or yeah, they're going to be balanced on either side. That's a good point. And maybe we end up seeing them fighting each other, but on the flip sides this time.
Uh-huh.
And I worry for Sol's life. I really do.
Oh,
I
Soul's gonna die, and
yeah.
maybe he should.
That's the thing. I don't know if it's like now he admits it and he realizes maybe he accepts that there's like a just stands there and takes it sort of death.
Well, because he clearly feels guilty about not saving May. I
Well, he
won't be
obviously
surprised if
feels guilty about it all.
yeah, I won't be surprised if we see like Kymir or maybe even Osha going to strike May down, and he like takes it
Mm,
to balance his own feelings about it.
maybe,
He's like, I failed to save you once. I've saved you now.
possibly.
I'm at peace with that.
Yeah, maybe he jumps in front of May. Osha kills him for because of that, and then that tips her even more because it's like that moment of like, oh, I've actually finally killed someone.
Uh huh.
It's obviously all going to get covered up.
Absolutely.
I actually don't think we get answers about the scar on Chimera and stuff. I don't know if we get those answers because
No, I
I
think we're
think
just supposed to be.
Venestra or whatever is going to go back. Not they're not going to be able to get hold of Soul. They're going to then just be like, well, May like clearly he's died to the
Mhm.
situation. Cover it up because they can't. Maybe they'll flip it to the council as, oh, they went to see Kalnaka, who was mad and he killed them all, and do it that way. I don't know, but yeah, it's very much going to be covered up, and I think you could be like that theory of like Osha and May have to balance each other out. I actually think it's quite a solid idea.
Yeah, there's some validity to that concept for
Mm.
sure. But
I
we're in
have,
for a banger episode next week. That's for
yeah,
sure.
the finale is going to be interesting. Um, I kind of want another like solid fight scene.
Yeah,
I need more. Um, but yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting to see where this goes, and if we get any reveal of other theories that have been out there, like if this guy's called Ren or if he is Plagueis' apprentice or anything like that. I wonder if we'll get any hint towards that stuff again in the finale.
maybe. But very, very interesting for sure.